Some of the biggest stories making the rounds recently. I am Mark Otabo. This week, federal government Organised Labour agrees 70,000 naira as new minimum wage. And also 13 states rush to hold council polls after Supreme Court judgment on local government autonomy. Later on the show, federal government UAE reach agreement on resumption of travels for Nigerians. Visa ban lifted. Details in a moment. Stay with us. Now let's begin with news just in. President of the United States, Joe Biden, has stepped down as the Democratic presidential candidate for the election scheduled for November. President Biden has been under intense pressure from Democrats and other top officials to drop his ambition over his health status. In a letter posted on his social media account, he mentioned that it had been the greatest honor of his life to serve as president, and his decision to quit is in the best interest of his party and the country. And of course, in a landmark decision, the federal government of Nigeria and the Organised Labour have reached an agreement on a new minimum wage of 70,000 naira. This agreement comes after extensive negotiations and is expected to provide significant relief to Nigerian workers who have been grappling with economic challenges. The new wage, which marks a substantial increase from the previous 30,000 naira, aims to improve the standard of living for the lowest paid workers in the country. The Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, stated that the new minimum wage of 70,000 naira was reached after thorough consultations with various stakeholders, including the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, and the Trade Union Congress, TUC. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu emphasized the government's commitment to ensuring fair wages for all workers, noting that the new wage will be reviewed every 3 years to keep pace with inflation and economic conditions. Now, the implementation of this new wage is expected to commence immediately, with the necessary legislative processes to follow. Now, joining me to discuss this is Basil Maduka, MD, CEO, Virgin Group, former governorship aspirant of LP in the last November 2023 Imo Chieftain election. Of course, he joins us from Abuja studio. Mr. Basil, good to have you this evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, thank you. And of course, in the studio right here, I have Olumide Toyinbo, a lawyer and a political analyst. Olumide, good to have you on the show this evening.
Great pleasure. Good evening.
Fantastic. All right. Now, Mr. Maduka, quickly. Now, Labour has finally come to agree on the 70,000 naira minimum wage. Now, how do you react to this news?
In fact, it's a welcome development. It was a great joy to Nigerians and the entire Labour and the generator of Nigerians. I want to follow other Nigerians to thank Mr. President and his teams and the stakeholders in making sure that they were able to understand the plight of the people and also the economic hardship. I also want to thank the Labour, NLC, and their group for having patience with federal governments and also watching the tide and the pendulum. That further of that will lead to a lot of economic loss and more hardship. They took it the way it should be by dialoguing and listening to Mr. President and his team. Finally, we thank Mr. President and also thank the Labour and entire Nigerians for this opportunity given to workers. I say kudos to all of them.
All right, thank you very much. Olumide, very quickly, I understand that this news was quite a remarkable one from different quarters. But right now, the problem we're having right now, there's concerns that some states cannot boast of their IGR compared to other counterparts, all right? And that in this regard, the new agreed fee might be a problem. Do you also share the same sentiment?
Yes, to an extent, I share that opinion. But looking at it from the perspective of the governors,
right,
they are the one in charge. They are the one who they know if they will be able to afford that minimum wage, if they were able to pay it in their various states. But would they be honest enough to give us the actual state of their economy, I mean, in each of the states of the Federation, would they be honest enough to be realistic, to tell us that this is what is coming, we won't be able to pay it, this is what is coming, we will be able to pay it? They have to be very honest with us and realistic. That's where the issue lies. But I'm of the opinion that, you know, it has been a practice in Nigeria that most of the governors, when their tenure is over, there will always be some sort of allegation of embezzlement, misappropriation, and all of that. I am of the opinion that if there is money to embezzle, there should be money to pay the minimum wage. So that's my own opinion about it. All
right, Mr. Basil, I have to throw that same question to you right now. Now, there are concerns that some states cannot boast of their IGR compared to their other counterparts in other states. And this might be a problem for them to be able to also pay the new agreed minimum wage. Do you also agree that some governors might not be able to pay this fee because of the fact that they're not making as much money as other governors are making in their states?
Honestly, this is a welcome development. I think every governor that is working, let me put it that way, at the same time that has the plights of the people, should be able to pay the minimum wage. Because, for instance, if a governor can sit down in his state and think how to govern the state, paying 70,000 naira is not an issue. Moreover, the removal of fuel subsidy gave so much money to the governors. Initially, they used to share about 600 billion. Today, they share about 1.3 trillion. Because to accommodate these wages, government was of the opinion of removing the fuel subsidy. Today, they have so much money to play around. So I don't see any governor who said they cannot be able to pay 70,000. So they should be able to do that.
All right. Olumide, quickly now, agriculture is said to be the lifeline that might just make life a bit easier for us. Now, what can be done to affirm a revamp in agriculture across board?
Yes, in fact, agriculture should be the primary source of income of any serious country, actually. So we should look at it from the dimension of funding. Okay. We should look at it from two dimensions. Let's start with the funding. Likewise, the second one would be insecurity. Funding is, to gather the technological, ability and the machines to be used for all this, to use on the farm and tractors and all of this. Most of these farmers, they are peasants. So where do they afford, how can they afford all these mechanized? Exactly. Okay. So that's where we should start from. Okay. We should be able to fund, the government should be able to fund the farm agricultural sector. They should be honest enough to fund it. Okay. They should take that bold step of funding it. Upon funding it, then we should look at the dimension of the insecurity, of course, especially in the northern part of the country. So we should solve the government should solve the problem of insecurity. They should take it as a priority, because if there's no security, no one will farm. There has been issues about, farms getting burnt, farmers getting all these things. So there's need to work on the security of the country so that farmers can farm with peace of mind. Without peace of mind, they won't be able to stay in the farm.
Yeah, Basil, quickly now, the same question will be thrown to you quickly. Agriculture is said to be the lifeline of any country. But as it is right now, it appears that we're not really doing much in that sector, even though we understand the government is making efforts to revamp that sector. Now, from your point of view, what do you think we can do to revamp agriculture across board so that everybody can be on the same page towards achieving that goal in the agricultural sector for us to get the gain we need?
In fact, if we look back, we've never had it like this, that there is a food shortage in Nigeria. In those days when we were in the primary school, secondary school, you will find out that every school plants, vegetables, cassavas. It was a responsibility, collective responsibility, right from time. Today, so many of us have abandoned agriculture. If the government will make it as a policy, farm what you can eat. Even across your house, plant plantain, plant vegetable, plant what your family can eat. Every local government, plant what you can eat. Every community, plant what you can eat. Before you know it, in fact, there will be enough for everybody. Let local government take it as a responsibility. Let the state take it as a responsibility in making sure that everybody goes back to farm. All over the world, without food, I don't think, in fact, that's the essence of this inflation. There should be a policy now mandating everybody, every household, to go back to farm, irrespective of how small it is. Now, on the area of government, the government can now drive a policy. During the days of Green Revolution, make it that every local government, so amount of money we set aside for them to embark on agriculture. State government, so amount of percentage must be go to agriculture, so that every state can account to feed their people. Because Nigeria, we are blessed with great arable land.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Well, we'll take a time out now, and Newsweek continues in a moment. Stay with us. Well, thank you for staying with us. All right. Following a recent Supreme Court judgment affirming the autonomy of local governments, 13 states in Nigeria have swiftly moved to schedule council elections. The ruling, which declared it unconstitutional for state governors to withhold funds allocated to local government councils, has prompted states to ensure democratic governance at the local level. This development is seen as a significant step towards strengthening grassroots democracy in Nigeria. The Supreme Court's decision mandates that local government councils must be democratically elected and manage their funds independently. Now, in response, states including Kaduna, Kogi, Bauchi, Katsina, Osun, Enugu, Benue, Rivers, Jigawa, Imo, Kebbi, Abia, and Anambra have announced dates for their local government elections. The Kaduna State Independent Electoral Commission has scheduled its council polls for October 19, 2024, while Kogi State will hold its election on the same day. This rush to hold elections underscores the state's commitment to complying with the Supreme Court's directive and ensuring that local governments operate autonomously. I still have Basil Maduka, MD CEO of Virgin Group and former governorship aspirant of LP in last November 2023 in Imo State Chieftain of LP. He joins from Abuja studio, still right here. Now, of course, I have Olumide still right here in the studio with me. Olumide, let me start with you quickly. Now, 13 states have actually rushed to conduct council polls with the ruling of the court. It appears we are finally going to see changes with the third tier of government. Actually, yes, and it's very commendable. Right. The judgment of the Supreme Court is very commendable. So, because governments, you know, we're in a democratic setting, and the grassroots should be the priority. Right. Because without the grassroots, we would have been at the forefront of the enjoyment of the welfare and benefits of governance. I don't think democracy is at the place it should be then. So, the election currently being is just, of course, it's obvious enough that it's a step towards the enforcement of the judgment of the court. So it's quite commendable. All right. Now, Basil, very quickly, some governors are still blowing hot and angry about the judgment. Why do you think they are so frustrated by this news?
Anyway, I think we also thank Mr. President and also the Supreme Court for the initiative Mr. President had in dragging, through the Attorney General, taking them to court. Because he knows, based on what he promised Nigerians, prosperity. Now, going to local government, giving them autonomy, I think that's one of the greatest things we should celebrate in thanking him. Because local governments, if we check local government, that is where people feel that there's governance. And the government now, the governors, yes, they might not be happy because that is where they have, in fact, that made them to be relaxed. If you check from FAC, for the past 21 years now, I went through FAC, about 25 trillion has gone to the 774 local governments in Nigeria. Go to every local government, do you feel it? No. Now, Mr. President and the Supreme Court have done their part by removing this local government from the jug of the governors. They won't be happy because it's an opportunity for them to, spend more without that money reflecting on the people. Now, getting local government better, insecurity will go, the agriculture, everybody will be happy. Therefore, they may not be happy because they will have a lot of money to spend and nothing much to show for it. After suffering for 21 years in this, yes.
All right, Basil, quickly. Now, local government council, we hear, do not enjoy immunity like the state governors. Now, is this a relief to proper monitor corruption at the grassroots?
I think that is another way of monitoring corruption in the grassroots if the people are elected by the people, not handpicked by the governors.
Okay. All right. Now, Olumide, very quickly, with how frustrated, the whole situation has been with the whole autonomy thing. Now, from the look of things, how do you expect the grassroots to improve now? Do you think that we're going to be seeing significant changes now that the local government has been taking off the claws of the governors?
Yes, I believe we should see improvements, actually.
But there are concerns that governors still have influence over some of these local government council chairmen.
Yes, they have. In fact, the electoral process, the governor appoints, though subject to the confirmation of the House of Assembly, appoint the chairman and other, other members of the state's independent electoral commission. So that has to be checked. You see that we amend the constitution to give room for INEC to conduct local government elections as well. They are doing it in Abuja. They are the one responsible for the area council election. So I believe INEC is capable enough to, even if they have to employ more people, to enlarge their workforce, I believe they should be in charge of the local government election. Though there is a pending bill at the National Assembly, it has passed the first reading, the Local Government Independent Electoral Commission Bill, so 2024. So it has passed the first reading. I think that was last week, Thursday. It passed the first reading. So, the bill is set to establish the National Independent Local Government Electoral Commission. Okay. So that will be in charge of the local government chairmanship as well as the councillorship election. Okay. So that's what I feel like. Instead of creating an independent body again, we should rather vest that power in INEC to prevent duplicity of, governmental bodies.
Okay. All right. Well, and finally on the show, in a positive turn of events, the federal government of Nigeria and United Arab Emirates, UAE, have reached an agreement to resume travel for Nigerian passport holders. Now, this agreement, effective from July 15, 2024, lifts the visa ban that had previously restricted Nigerians from traveling to the UAE. The new arrangement includes updated visa controls and conditions to facilitate smoother travel between the two nations. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, announced the agreement, highlighting the successful negotiations between the Nigerian and the UAE authorities. The resumption of visa issuance is expected to boost bilateral relations, enhance tourism, and promote business exchanges between Nigeria and the UAE. Basil, very quickly now, finally, the UAE has finally lifted the ban for Nigerian passport holders. This is obviously a relief to those who frequent the country, especially on business basis. How do you react to this quickly?
In fact, it's a welcome development. Because if we check in 2007, Nigeria has a bilateral relationship with UAE. Yeah. Since then, it has been wonderful. Apart from within the few years, because of documentations and issues, I think it's going to be another welcome development. It's going to now bring another direct foreign exchange in the area of agriculture and petroleum products and equipment. Because in those days, a few years ago, I used to have office there. I was able to see the capital flight coming into Nigeria and aircrafts, airliners making so much money. And at the same time, the youths, it's an opportunity for the youths to go and learn jobs, some artisans, various fields. coming back to impart those things in Nigeria. We really thank the government of Nigeria and Mr. President for making this possible as an open door, avenues to greater opportunities for our youths and other businessmen. It's a welcome development in our economy.
All right, thank you very much. Let me do very quickly. Now, the UAE government didn't seem pleased with the way Nigeria handles documentation of citizens flying to Dubai, now, which raised significant concerns of persons flying to their country. What do you think we should start doing internally to clear our image and do the right thing?
Yes, we really have a lot to do. At times, the government of today, they are making efforts, but it's not about only the government. We should also look inward. We should look at the city. We ourselves as citizens, what are we doing? You know, it's quite ridiculous to see people falsifying documents so as to get to UAE, all those things, you know. So it is important that the citizens, we should imbibe the attributes of patriotism. We should become more patriotic, that even in the country and outside the country, we put ourselves in good light as Nigerians. And also, I believe that it's obvious that the president made efforts to make sure that the ban gets lifted. I believe he is working on mechanisms to ensure that there is proper management of the diplomatic relationship, especially in line with, you know, the travels to the UAE. All
right. Basil, quickly, before I let you go, it is actually disheartening when Nigeria is found wanting on the headlines due to behavior of citizens and their conduct in other countries. Now, it's almost like a few bad eggs rubbing off on the entire country. Now, is this as a result of some of our weak institutions and lack of credibility on the part of those who are heading these institutions?
Well, I think if you want to portray the image of your country or your home, it always reflects in your way of behavior. Some of our youths are desperate of quick money. They want to go there to make it by all means. So most of them, when someone is desperate, it can fall victim or anything. You might think that it goes anyhow it is, not knowing that every country has its own policy. So I think from henceforth, since we've had the opportunity of, you know, this opportunity of going back, doing business with UAE, we should now make sure that whoever is traveling out of this country should make sure that the image of our country is important. Both the people who are processing the document or even those who are going there to work should know that image of Nigeria is paramount. Right. So that this kind of thing, situation will not arise again.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Well, I've been speaking with Basil Maduka, MD CEO, Virgin Group, and former governorship aspirant of LP. Mr. Basil, thank you for actually joining us on the show this evening.
Thank you.
All right. I'm here with Olumide Twimbo, a lawyer and a political analyst. It's been a pleasure really talking with you.
Great pleasure.
All right. And that's our show for today. Remember, you can follow the conversation on our social media platforms at TVC News NG or on our website at tvcnews.tv. I am Marco Tabo. Until next week, goodbye.